guys, it's Priestess Kai. I am back today with another video, and I did another card pull for today. So, from my Soul Journey deck. And the card that I pulled for today is Relationships. Ooh. Alright, and this is what the card looks like. And the card reads, I am attracted to those people who serve my higher good. Alright, so today's discussion will be on relationships. And what I want to say, the first thing I want to say is that relationships are a very important aspect to our lives. Some people may say that they like to be alone and they prefer not to be in relationships and all that, but relationships is very important. Human interaction is very important. So yeah, now not only is it important, but healthy relationships are golden. Healthy relationships. In order to have a healthy relationship, you have to do your inner work, meaning you have to heal those wounds. You have to heal yourself, so that way you don't go around, walking around projecting any of your trauma outwardly into the people that you're, have relationships with. So you gotta, heal so that you don't project your trauma onto people who you are in relationships with. I'm speaking platonically, romantically, business, all types of relationships. It's very important to make sure that they're healthy ones. So yeah, relationships, and I feel like healthy relationships can be healing in itself, especially if you're used to having not so much of a healthy relationship. So if you're used to being surrounded by toxicity or having toxic relationships with people, and then you get into a healthy relationship with someone, it can be very healing. Now, I wouldn't suggest that you rely on someone else to heal. No, definitely not. You definitely want to make sure that you're healing yourself by yourself and not relying on someone else to heal you. But what I'm saying is that a healthy relationship in itself can be healing. It can guide you within your healing that you're doing for yourself. Just trying to make sure I make that very clear. And again, toxic relationships are definitely a no-no. Toxic relationships can bring you down, and it's the opposite of a healthy relationship. So, and the key word for that would be value. So if you are having a healthy relationship, then that's adding value to your life. That relationship is adding value to your life. If you have a toxic relationship with people, it's not adding any type of value to your life. Matter of fact, it's most likely draining your energy, and bringing you down. So that's the opposite of adding value. And those type of relationships, can bring you down. They're not healthy and they're not good, to have. Now, it's important to know the difference between a healthy relationship and a toxic relationship, because it can honestly be hard to tell sometimes when a relationship is toxic and when a relationship is healthy. I like to say that one thing to look out for within, determining if the relationship is healthy or toxic is boundaries. Boundaries is so important, because when there become a lack of boundaries within relationships, based off of experience and just observation, when there's lack of boundaries in a relationship, things can start to get toxic, because there's no type of line, there's nothing there to enforce when something has rubbed you the wrong way, pretty much. So there's no type of boundaries. So healthy relationships definitely have healthy boundaries, and pretty much boundaries is really just making it clear as to what you're okay with and what you're not okay with. So if somebody is overstepping your boundaries, that means they have done something that affected you negatively. So they have done something that you are not okay with. And it's really easy for people to do that, and it's really easy for even yourself to do that to other people when people aren't establishing what their boundaries are, because boundaries vary from person to person. Like, for example, you may be okay with something that someone else is not okay with. You know what I mean? So to you, it may feel like everything's all right, like you're not crossing any type of boundaries, because it's not something that would be considered your boundary. But it could be negatively affecting the other person. You could be crossing their boundaries. So it can get very, it's very easy, I would say, to overstep someone's boundaries when you don't know what their boundaries are. So that's definitely important in relationships, is establishing boundaries and making sure you let people know that what your boundaries are, what you're okay with, what you aren't okay with, what you will tolerate, what you will not tolerate, things like that. That way that they can be cautious of overstepping, be cautious to not overstep your boundaries. And that really is, I feel like, the biggest key to having a healthy relationship. Um, Value. Again, healthy relationships bring value to your life. If you don't feel good in your relationships, if the person isn't making you feel valued, or like the whole relationship itself doesn't make you feel good, then that's probably not a relationship that you want to hang on tight to be honest. If someone is making you feel bad, or just doing things that's super disrespectful to you, or just disrespectful at all, and especially if you let them know that it's disrespectful and that you weren't okay with something, and they continue to do the same things and just not respect, just not respect you as a person, then it's definitely probably something you would want to let go of, because it's not serving you. It's not serving your higher good, and that's not something worth holding on to in the long run. It may seem like, oh, we can just work it out, oh, we can just keep trying, but you're really just wasting energy, and you're wasting time that could be spent working on yourself and focusing on yourself. So yeah, toxic relationships are a no. Let me see, is there anything else I want to add to relationships before I move on to the prompt? I would say, yeah, everything that I was discussing, just vice versa as well. Make sure that you're not disrespecting someone else. Make sure that even if you notice, because I've experienced this, people won't always say what's bothering them, but even if you notice like a slight change in someone's mood after you said something or done something, even if you notice a slight change, ask them like, hey, is there something that I did to offend you just now? Or, just so that it can prevent further conflict, in the future. So I would definitely say take notice of people's body language when you say things or do things, or like if their energy just change up. Definitely, make sure that it's not something that you said or done. That would definitely help in the long run. All right, so moving on to the prompt now. So, of course, my daily journal. I just wrote down, relationships. I am attracted to those people who serve my higher good. And then I wrote down, things to remind myself of, and things, I want to say like affirmations, pretty much. So, first one I wrote is, I heal myself so that I can have healthy relationships. I know that I know what is healthy in a relationship, and I know what isn't. Relationships shouldn't add to my life, not take away. A relationship should add to my life, not take away. I embrace my boundaries within my relationships. I add value to my relationships. I understand that I do not need someone to complete me, because I am already whole. I give love to those who I have relationships with. I value my relationships. And that's another thing that I actually forgot to discuss. Wait, what was it? Oh, I understand that I am not, I do not need someone to complete me because I am already whole. That is very important. Well, actually, I guess I did kind of cover that. It goes back to not relying on someone else to heal you. That actually definitely falls into that, because if you rely on someone to heal you, or if you rely on someone else to complete you, that's pretty much the same thing. You're relying on them to heal you, because if you feel like you need someone to complete you, there's a void within you that you feel like you can't feel it yourself. You know what I mean? So you're trying to find someone to fill the voids for you. I know that whole little part right there is like pretty cliche, but it's so true. Another thing is that you can't love someone without first loving yourself. You really, really cannot, because if you don't have enough love for yourself, how are you able to pour love into someone else's cup? Because you can only meet someone where you are. So if you're not giving yourself the love that you want someone else to give you, it's like, how can you do that? You know what I mean? How can you demand that someone give you the love that you're not giving you yourself? And this is more in a romantic aspect, romantic relationships. I guess it could go platonically too, but more so we see this happening in romantic relationships, where people will demand that someone give them the love that they're not giving them themselves, even though they don't see it that way. They don't want to see it that way, but that's ultimately what it is. So yeah, just be real cautious of that. And what you demand for others, or what you want others to give you, make sure you're first giving it to yourself. Because if you're not giving it to yourself, then who are you to demand anyone to give you what you can't even give you? That's not right, to make someone else have that responsibility and you don't have that type of responsibility over yourself. And also, look out for if people are doing that to you too, because that's not okay if people are demanding that you do something for them that they can't do for themselves. Love, providing them with anything, just anything. People shouldn't expect things from people that they can't give to themselves. That's all I can say about that. So, all right. Yeah, that's today's discussion. Relationships. Make sure that you're adding value. Make sure your relationships are adding value to your life, and that you're adding value to others' lives. And by doing that is to make sure that you're healing. Make sure that you're catching those triggers, that trauma. Make sure you're getting down to the bottom of your trauma and your wounds, so that you don't go projecting it outwardly and hurting, the people that you love. All right. So that is all for today. As far as this card goes, I do hope you guys enjoy that discussion. I hope you guys enjoy these daily discussions. Again, if you do want to follow the prompt, I would say just, write down things to remind yourself of when it comes to relationships. And I would say definitely make sure to write down things that, you're okay with and that you're not okay with. So establishing your boundaries on paper. Like, what is your boundaries? Do you know what your boundaries are? Because honestly, it's not always easy to tell what your boundaries are until something affects you. Like, I know me personally, I've discovered a lot of what my boundaries are after the fact, after someone has did something that made me feel some type of way. So, just, I would say, write down what your boundaries are, if you know them, or seek to know what your boundaries are. Remind yourself of what you're looking for in a relationship. Make sure that what you're looking for is what you can give yourself first and foremost. And yeah, just reflect on that. And even if you choose to not be in a relationship or not be around people for too much, if you choose not to be around people or in relationships or anything, when you're ready to take that leap into being into relationships or being around people or whatever, um, I would still say write down the things that you want in relationships. That way, when you feel ready, you will know what you want. You will know, you'll be prepared, you know? You'll know what your boundaries are. You'll know what you want to give and what you don't want to give, and just all those type of things. So just boundaries in every aspect. There's so many variations and so many type of boundaries that people have, and they vary from person to person again. All right, so that is all for today. Thank you guys for watching, and I will be back later. I know I said that yesterday, but I will be back later to do shadow work readings. I'll be uploading that later. All right, so do something nice for yourself, love yourself, and please be kind to yourself. And I will see you guys in the next video.